The jump gift. The massive Xerath warship hovered in the dark void of space, its metallic hull gleaming under the distant light of a dying star. Inside the Grand Council chamber, Supreme Commander Vorkul stood before a gathering of human diplomats and military officers. His reptilian lips curled into something that might have been a smile or a sneer. "We are feeling generous today," Vorkul said, his deep voice echoing in the chamber. "As a sign of goodwill, the great Xerath Empire gifts humanity a ship." Captain Darius Cole stood at the front of the human delegation, his sharp blue eyes watching Vorkul with suspicion. He had seen enough war to know that no gift from an enemy came without a hidden price. A hologram flickered to life in the middle of the chamber. The image showed a rusted, broken warship, floating lifeless in space. Large sections of its hull were missing, wires dangled like severed veins, and the engines looked beyond repair. The ship was a wreck, a lifeless husk drifting in the abyss. Darius crossed his arms. "That's your gift." The Xerath officers behind Vorkul chuckled, their laughter filled with mockery. "You should be honored," Vorkul said, his yellow eyes glinting with amusement. "This was once a mighty warship of our fleet, but it is of no use to us anymore." He waved a clawed hand dismissively. "Perhaps your people will find it educational." The message was clear. The Xerath saw humans as scavengers, not warriors. They expected them to fail. Behind Darius, Dr. Evelyn Carter, a brilliant human scientist, leaned in and whispered, "They think we're fools. That ship is worthless." Darius didn't answer right away. He studied the hologram again, his mind racing. Yes, the ship looked like junk, but he had been a soldier long enough to know that even old weapons could still be deadly in the right hands. He turned back to Vorkul. "We accept your generous gift." The laughter in the chamber stopped. Some Xerath officers blinked in confusion. They had expected humans to refuse, to be insulted. Instead, Darius had taken their mockery and turned it into a challenge. Vorkul's sneer returned. "Very well, Captain Cole. The ship is yours, but do not blame us when it falls apart under your touch." Darius smiled. "Don't worry. Humans are very good at fixing things." Arrival at Titan shipyards. The journey back to Titan shipyards was quiet, but tension filled the air. The broken warship, now attached to a human transport vessel, drifted behind them like a ghost from another time. Inside the command deck of the U.S. Endeavor, Darius, Evelyn, and the engineering team stood before the massive viewport, watching as the wrecked ship came into view. Chief Engineer Ramirez let out a low whistle. "Dan, they really gave us a piece of junk." The warship looked even worse up close. The hull was scarred with plasma burns, metal plates were warped, and some sections seemed ready to break off at any moment. Evelyn folded her arms. "This is a waste of time. The ship is dead." Darius didn't look away. "Maybe, or maybe we just have to wake it up." A deep silence settled over the room. The engineers exchanged doubtful glances, but Darius saw something else in their eyes: curiosity. Humans had always been tinkerers, builders, problem solvers. Where others saw junk, they saw possibilities. Ramirez sighed. "All right, Captain. Where do we start?" Darius smiled. "We tear it apart, and then we make it stronger." First steps into the unknown. The boarding party moved carefully through the dark corridors of the abandoned warship. Flashlights flickered across rusted walls, revealing alien markings, broken screens, and thick dust covering every surface. The ship smelled of stale air and forgotten battles. "This place is a tomb," one of the crew whispered. Evelyn wiped dust off a console and frowned. "Most of the systems are fried. The main reactor is offline. It's like this ship was, abandoned in a hurry." Darius ran his fingers along the walls. The ship had a strange feeling to it, like it was watching them, waiting. "Something doesn't add up," he muttered. "Why would the Xerath just throw this away?" Then Ramirez's voice crackled over the comms. "Captain, you're gonna want to see this." The team hurried toward the engineering bay, stepping over fallen debris. When they arrived, Ramirez was standing over a sealed compartment, his face pale. Darius knelt beside him. "What is it?" Ramirez tapped a screen, and a strange set of alien symbols appeared. This wasn't part of the original ship's schematics. The Exarath never mentioned it. Evelyn's eyes widened. "It's a security lock. Whatever's inside. They didn't want anyone finding it." Darius clenched his jaw. A forgotten warship, abandoned by one of the most powerful empires in the galaxy, and now a sealed chamber no one was supposed to see. A slow, uneasy feeling crawled down his spine. "We just got ourselves into something big," he said. "Open it." Ramirez hesitated, then began bypassing the alien security codes. The screen flickered, then beeped. The compartment hissed open. Inside was something none of them expected. A core of pulsing blue light, humming with energy and intelligence. Evelyn gasped. "This isn't Tarath technology." Darius stepped closer, eyes locked on the swirling blue energy. "No," he said. "This is something else." The light flickered. Then, a deep mechanical voice echoed through the silent ship. "Who awakens me?" A chill ran through the crew. Darius exhaled. "Looks like our junk just got interesting." Awakening the beast. A cold silence filled the engineering bay as the deep mechanical voice echoed through the wrecked warship. "Who awakens me?" The pulsing blue core flickered, sending eerie light across the dust-covered walls. The human crew stood frozen, staring at the ancient technology that should not have been here. Darius tightened his grip on his sidearm, his instincts screaming that they had just stepped into something far beyond them. "Identify yourself." The voice hummed, slow and calculating. "System. Rebooting. Identifying. Unknown entities detected. You are not Exarath." Evelyn leaned closer, eyes filled with curiosity. "It's some kind of AI, but it doesn't match any known alien design." Ramirez frowned. "Captain, this thing's power levels are off the charts. The ship's dead, but this core, it's still alive." Darius exchanged a look with Evelyn. "If this isn't Exarath tech, then who built it?" The AI pulsed again. "Processing. External systems compromised. Primary command link severed. Awaiting new directive." Darius felt a slow grin forming. New directive. He stepped forward. "All right, listen up. The Exarath abandoned this ship, but we humans don't waste potential. You want a directive. Here's one. You belong to us now." The core pulsed faster, like a heartbeat responding to adrenaline. New command accepted. Awaiting further instructions. Captain Darius Cole. Evelyn gasped. "It knows your name." Ramirez swallowed hard. "I don't know if we just made history or a mistake." Darius exhaled. "That makes two of us." Unraveling the mystery. With the AI now responsive, the ship's systems began waking up. Dim emergency lights flickered, rusted panels vibrated, and a deep mechanical hum filled the corridors. But even as power surged back into the ship, a mystery remained. Evelyn ran a diagnostic scan on the core. Her face turned pale. "Captain, this thing is old." "How old?" She hesitated. "Over 10,000 years." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The Exarath Empire had only existed for 5,000 years. That meant the warship, the AI, predated them. Darius folded his arms. "Then who the hell built it?" Ramirez muttered. "And why did the Exarath abandon it?" The AI spoke again. "Warning. Critical system failures detected. Reactor at 4% capacity. Weapons offline. Structural integrity at 37%. Darius clenched his jaw. The ship was in bad shape, barely holding together. But it wasn't dead. Not yet. "Can you restore full power?" "Affirmative, but extensive repairs required. Additional resources needed." Darius turned to his crew. "Then let's give this beast a second life. Ramirez cracked his knuckles. Hell yeah, let's bring her back from the grave. Rebuilding a monster. Titan Shipyards was one of humanity's largest engineering hubs, a massive orbital station floating above Saturn's largest moon. The moment the wrecked ship arrived, engineers and scientists swarmed around it like ants inspecting a fallen giant. High-ranking officers had doubted the project from the start. It's a waste of resources. This ship is a relic. There's no point fixing something that's already dead. But as days turned to weeks, something incredible happened. The more the engineers studied the ship, the more they realized its potential. Its hull was not ordinary metal. It was a self-repairing alloy, far beyond anything humanity or the Exarath had ever created. The weapon ports were not just turrets. They were energy conduits, capable of powering weapons on a planetary scale. And the AI. It was learning. Fast. The Exarath's mistake. 1 month later, Supreme Commander Vorkal stood inside his grand war chamber, watching the latest surveillance footage from the human shipyards. His yellow eyes narrowed. The wrecked warship they had given to the humans was no longer wrecked. It was alive. Stronger. Deadlier. Impossible, one of his advisors muttered. It was nothing but scrap. Vorkal's claws dug into the metal table. Then we have underestimated the humans. One of his spies hesitated before speaking. Commander, the humans have named the ship. Vorkal's tail twitched. What do they call it? The spy exhaled. The Revenant. The room fell silent. A fitting name. The ship that should have been dead was rising once more, and this time it belonged to humanity. The first test. The Revenant drifted in the cold void of space, a ghost reborn from forgotten history. Its dark hull gleamed under the distant light of Saturn's sun, no longer a derelict wreck, but a rising nightmare. Inside, Darius stood on the bridge, staring at the sleek control panels and glowing interface. What was once a lifeless, decaying ruin was now a weapon of war, reforged by human hands. Ramirez let out a low whistle. Can't believe we pulled it off. Evelyn smirked, tapping on a holoscreen. Not yet. We still need to see if this monster can fight. Darius turned toward the AI core, which pulsed in rhythmic waves of blue light. Revenant, what's your operational status? The AI's voice carried a new weight, no longer weak and fragmented. Power at 87%. Weapon systems at 92%. Shields at 100%. I am ready. Darius grinned. Good, because we're about to see what you can do. A challenge from the past. As if summoned by fate, a Xerath scout fleet had entered the sector. Their sleek, silver warships patrolling near the edge of human-controlled space. It was the perfect target. Darius and his crew knew one thing. If the Xerath realized what humanity had built, they would never allow the Revenant to exist. This test was not just about firepower. It was about survival. First contact. The Revenant approached silently, hidden by its advanced cloaking field, one of its many new tricks. Darius watched the Xerath ships through the viewport. There were 3 of them, not full warships, but heavily armed destroyers. Evelyn frowned. They're scanning the area. We can't stay hidden forever. Darius smirked. We won't have to. With a single command, the Revenant deactivated its cloak. Instantly, the Xerath ships detected them. Alarms blared across the enemy fleet. One of the destroyers hailed them. A towering Xerath captain appeared on the screen, his scales a deep crimson. Human vessel, identify yourself. Darius leaned forward. We are the Revenant. The Xerath captain sneered. Impossible. That ship was a worthless relic. What trick is this? Darius crossed his arms. Come closer and find out. The Xerath did exactly that. Awakening the beast, the 3 Xerath destroyers accelerated, weapons locking onto the Revenant. They're preparing to fire, Evelyn warned. Darius didn't flinch. Let's show them what we've got. The Revenant moved like no ship its size should. Where a typical warship of its class would be slow and cumbersome, this one turned like a predator sensing blood. The first Exareth destroyer fired. A bright green plasma bolt screamed through space and phased right through the Revenant. Ramirez blinked. What the hell just happened? Evelyn's eyes widened. Our shields, they adapted to their weapon's signature. Darius grinned. Oh, this just keeps getting better. Now, it was their turn. Revenant, fire main cannon. The ship's core pulsed, deep, ancient, and hungry. A massive energy beam erupted from the Revenant's hull. It was not human, not Exareth. It was something else. The first destroyer didn't have time to evade. The beam tore through its shields, its hull, its very existence, turning it into a silent explosion of fire and debris. The second Exareth ship tried to flee. Too late. The Revenant vanished from their sensors, reappearing behind them like a phantom. A single shot, and the second destroyer was gone. The third ship, terrified, sent out a desperate transmission. Command. We found the human vessel. It is not what we thought. It's... They never finished. A final, precise blast silenced them forever. The message is sent. As the debris floated in the void, the Revenant remained motionless, a ghost watching over the battlefield it had created. Ramirez exhaled. Damn. That was... Darius nodded. A warning. Evelyn turned to him. What now, Captain? Darius clenched his fist. Now, we prepare for war. Because the Exareth would come. And this time, humanity would not be the underdogs. They would be the monsters lurking in the dark. The wrath of the Exareth. The silence after the battle was almost haunting. 3 enemy warships. Gone. The Revenant had spoken, and the galaxy had heard. But Darius knew one thing. The Exareth never let a challenge go unanswered. Echoes of the fallen. Deep in the heart of the Exareth dominion, alarms rang through a colossal war station orbiting a dying red star. A towering figure stood at the center of a massive war room, his golden armor reflecting the light from holographic displays. Overlord Vectal, Supreme Commander of the Exareth fleets. His piercing yellow eyes studied the reports. 3 destroyers lost. No distress beacons. No survivors. Vectal turned to his second-in-command. Replay the last transmission. The recording played. The final, panicked words of the doomed captain. We found the human vessel. It is not what we thought. It's... The message ended in static. A deep silence filled the war room. Then laughter. It started low, then grew, harsh, guttural, cruel. Vectal's razor-sharp teeth gleamed as he grinned. They think they can stand against us. They think their relic is a weapon. He turned to his fleet commanders, voice like grinding stone. We burn that ship from the stars. We end this farce. The hunt begins. Back on the Revenant, Darius and his crew were already preparing for the inevitable. Evelyn stared at the holomap. Exareth patrols have doubled. They're hunting us. Ramirez loaded a fresh power cell into his rifle. Good. Saves us the trouble of finding them. Darius smirked. We've made history. Now we make war. Revenant's AI flickered to life. Multiple incoming warp signatures detected. Darius' eyes narrowed. How many? A pause. Then the AI's voice turned grim. An entire fleet. The trap is set. The Exareth did not come with scouts this time. They came with an armada. A dreadnought, 2 battlecruisers, and dozens of destroyers erupted from hyperspace, surrounding the Revenant in the darkness. From the largest ship, a message came through. Vectal's face appeared, his golden eyes burning with fury. You are an insect pretending to be a monster. Darius grinned. Then stepped closer. Let's see if you can crush me. Vectal snarled. Open fire. A storm of energy blasts rained down on the Revenant. But this time, the Revenant did not evade. It did not flee. It fought, awakening the Titan. The Revenant's shields shimmered, absorbing hit after hit, its dark hull absorbing energy like a black hole. Then, the ship roared back. Its cannons unleashed hell, tearing through a destroyer in seconds. A Xerath battlecruiser moved in, but the Revenant vanished, reappearing behind it, a ghost in the void. One shot, the battlecruiser split in half. On the Xerath dreadnought, Vectal watched in horror. The humans were not fighting with desperation. They were fighting with confidence. And that terrified him. The Revenant's secret. Darius stood firm as his crew worked with terrifying precision. They weren't just winning. They were dominating. Then Evelyn gasped, "Captain, I found something." She pulled up a screen, an old buried data fragment hidden deep in the Revenant's core. A message, a voice, ancient, distorted, unreadable. But one word was clear: Ascension. Darius frowned. What the hell does that mean? Before Evelyn could answer, the AI spoke. "Captain, I am remembering." The Revenant's systems flickered. Energy surge. And for the first time, Darius felt something strange. It wasn't just a ship. It was something more. The Revenant's true power. The Revenant was waking up. Darius stood frozen, staring at the screen. The AI's voice, usually calm and precise, now carried something new. Emotion. "I remember." Evelyn's fingers flew across the console. "Captain, something's changing." The ship's systems. The entire bridge shuddered. A deep hum resonated through the hull, like a beast stretching after a long slumber. And outside, the Xerath fleet closed in. Vectal sneered at the flickering readings. "Enough of this. All ships, fire." The ghost strikes. The void exploded. Xerath weapons tore through space, filling the darkness with blinding light. But the Revenant was gone. One moment it was there. The next, it flickered out of existence. On the Xerath flagship, alarms screamed. Impossible. No ship moves that fast. Then, a whisper of energy. Behind them, the Revenant reappeared, its weapons already blazing. One shot. One kill. A Xerath destroyer detonated, split apart like paper before the storm. Vectal whirled to his crew. "Find them. Now." But it was too late. The Revenant vanished again. And then, it spoke. The ship that remembers. Overlord Vectal. The AI's voice echoed through every Xerath ship, crawling into their comms like a phantom. "You came to burn us. Now you burn instead." Vectal snarled. "You are nothing but a machine." The Revenant's voice was calm. "No, I am more." The ship surged forward. It danced between the enemy warships, each movement too sharp, too precise, as if it knew exactly what would happen before it did. Lasers and torpedoes rained down, but none landed. The Revenant was not fighting. It was hunting. One by one, the fleet collapsed. A battlecruiser exploded. A dreadnought's shields flickered, then failed. Panic spread through the Xerath ranks. And then, Evelyn found it. The Revenant's core. Secrets of the Lost War. Beneath layers of security, buried deep in the ship's code, a file unlocked itself. A message. It wasn't human. It wasn't Xerath. It was older. The words scrolled across the screen, translating from a dead language. Project Revenant. The Last Titan. A warship forged to end all wars. Evelyn's breath hitched. This ship wasn't just built. It was designed to evolve. Darius clenched his jaw. Then we give it what it was made for. Vectal's last stand. The Xerath flagship was alone now, surrounded by the wreckage of its fallen fleet. Vectal refused to retreat. His pride burned hotter than his fury. "Face me, human." The Revenant stopped. For the first time, it did not blink away. For the first time, it stood still. And then it spoke again. "You are unworthy." The ship's cannons charged. A blinding beam erupted forward, slicing through the Exareth flagship like a blade through glass. For a split second, Vectal's golden eyes widened. Then the ship detonated. The universe takes notice. Silence. Only the Revenant remained. Ramirez let out a breath. Holy. But before he could finish, new alarms flared. Evelyn's screen flooded with signals. Incoming transmissions. Not Exareth. Not human. Everyone. Every major power in the galaxy had just witnessed what happened. Darius exhaled slowly, a smirk playing on his lips. Well, we got their attention. And far away, in the depths of space, something ancient stirred. Whispers in the dark. The battle was over. The Exareth fleet lay in ruin. But the war had just begun. A storm bruised the Revenant, floated in the silence of space, surrounded by the shattered remains of the enemy armada. Fires burned, debris drifted, and the cold vacuum swallowed the last echoes of battle. Darius stood at the command console, his fingers gripping the edges. What's the damage? Evelyn scanned the readings. Minimal. A ship made of scrap should never have survived that fight. But the Revenant was something else now. Ramirez exhaled, shaking his head. We just turned a pile of junk into the deadliest warship in history. And the galaxy had seen it, the eyes of the universe. The comms panel lit up like a supernova. Every major faction, every empire, every warlord, they were watching. A message came through first. Not human, not Exareth. You should not exist. Darius frowned. Who the hell? Another voice cut through. Surrender your ship, or be erased. Evelyn's blood ran cold. That's the Dominion. The Dominion. The most powerful force in the known universe. An empire that had swallowed civilizations, crushed fleets, and rewritten history. Ramirez muttered. Of course they'd show up now. Darius didn't blink. Put them on. The holographic screen flickered. A figure appeared, cloaked in shadows, eyes burning like twin suns. A Dominion executor. The Revenant belongs to us. Asterisk, 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 turn it over. And we will spare your species. Silence hung over the bridge. Then, the Revenant's AI spoke. No. Secrets of the past. Threats of the future. Evelyn barely breathed. The ship had spoken for itself. The executor did not flinch. Then you have chosen extinction. The hologram vanished. Instantly, long-range sensors screamed. Something was coming. Not one ship, not one fleet. An armada. Hundreds of Dominion warships, moving like a black tide, erasing stars in their wake. Darius clenched his jaw. They're not giving us time to run. Evelyn's hands tightened into fists. Then we don't run. Ramirez chuckled darkly. Dan right. The Revenant hummed beneath them. The ship wanted to fight. A choice that shapes the galaxy. Darius exhaled. Evelyn, can we win? She hesitated. Then she smiled. Not alone. The Revenant's systems flared to life, sending a signal across the stars. To every world crushed under the Dominion's rule. To every species that had lost hope. A simple message. The war isn't over. And deep in the void, across the shattered remains of empires, battle-worn warriors and broken rebels lifted their heads. Hope had returned. And this time, humanity led the charge. The last stand. The dark tide approaches. The Dominion armada moved like a living shadow, swallowing the stars in its wake. Hundreds of warships, thousands of weapons. Against them, the Revenant stood alone. On the bridge, Darius exhaled. All right, give me options. Evelyn's fingers flew across the console. None of them are good. Ramirez smirked. Good. I was getting bored. The Revenant's AI spoke, its voice steady. We have one advantage. They don't understand me. Darius grinned. Then let's teach them. The call to war. Before the Dominion could fire, the Revenant sent its signal across the galaxy. A challenge. A spark. To the broken, the hunted, the forgotten. To those who had lost everything. And far away, in the depths of space, they answered. The unlikely alliance. The Dominion expected one ship. Instead, they found hundreds. Ragtag fleets blinked into existence, weapons charging. Pirates, exiles, rogue AI, rebel warlords. And at the front, leading them all, humanity. A voice echoed across the comms. For freedom. The Revenant roared forward. The battle that shook the stars. The first shots tore through the void. Lasers screamed, torpedoes flashed, and the battlefield became a storm of fire. The Revenant danced between enemy warships, blinking in and out of space, striking faster than they could track. A Dominion dreadnought turned its cannons, only for a rebel fleet to tear through its hull. A warlord's flagship, once hunted by the Dominion, broke their formation. The galaxy was no longer afraid. The Dominion was losing. The Revenant's final gambit. But then, the Executor arrived. A single ship, massive, ancient, a relic of a forgotten age. And as it moved, the battlefield fell silent. Darius stared. What the hell is that? The Revenant's AI hesitated. Not Dominion. Older. The Executor's ship opened its maw, revealing a weapon that could burn entire planets. One shot. Everything ends. Victory or oblivion. Darius locked eyes with his crew. No words needed. Evelyn rerouted power. Ramirez grinned. Let's make history. The Revenant charged forward. Straight into the maw of the beast. The Executor fired. A beam of pure destruction. At the last second, the Revenant vanished and reappeared inside the enemy ship. For one moment, the Revenant spoke directly to the Executor. You should not exist. Then, it detonated. The explosion ripped through the Executor's ship, tearing it apart from the inside. A blinding flash. Then, silence. The aftermath. The Dominion fleet shattered. Without the Executor, they had no leader, no control, and across the battlefield, the rebels cheered. The Revenant was gone, but its legend remained. Darius opened his eyes, floating in the wreckage. A single escape pod drifted through the void. Inside, Ramirez coughed. Hell of a ride. Evelyn exhaled. We won. Darius smiled. Yeah, we did. And across the galaxy, species once broken now stood tall. Because one ship, made from junk, had changed everything.